All right, today I am raising the rear suspension on the Miata. Why am I raising it? Well, the difference in the front travel to the rear travel on the air suspension I have is probably about an inch, maybe a little more. I actually could probably measure it. It might be a little more than probably like an inch and a half, maybe. Anyway, why am I changing it? Well, before I had maxed out the height on the rear strut body. It looks great when it's aired out, but my problem is that when I am at the driving height, my rear PSI is at around between 70 to 80, and my front is around 60. The front's fine. Rear is also fine, but something that I think doesn't get talked about, and I'm not sure really how to approach it because I'm no suspension expert, is spring rate. And I know that generally when you want when you buy coilovers, I know air suspension isn't coilovers, but usually you want the rear spring rate, at least the setup on a Miata, you want the rear spring rate a little lower than the front. Say you have like a 8K spring in the front and you run a 6K spring in the back. You know, just generally how I've seen setups go. Like they're just slightly lower spring rate in the back. Well, right now I'm running 60 PSI in the front and 70 to 80 in the back. That seems off to me, considering that I know the lower the PSI, the softer the bag is going to be. I don't know how that relates to spring rate, but it seems like the rear number should be lower than the front. The front should be stiffer than the back. So that's what I'm going to do. Because also when it's aired out, it actually looks like it's sitting lower in the back. I think I'd rather have the back sit a little higher, or level, but a little higher in the back is fine for me, especially if it gives me a little more clearance when fully aired up. And the ride might change. I don't have an issue with the ride right now. It's actually fine, but I have wanted to do this for a while and see how it changes and if I actually like it better. I could always go back. I could readjust it, but it's not a big deal. So I'm going to pull this car up and get the rears adjusted. Currently, this is with the PSI set to 60 in the front and 72 in the back. So the ride height is ideal, but the pressures aren't. So even 60 is a little too high in the front, but I'm going to keep it there because I do want it stiff, just not overly stiff. The rear, I'm aiming for at least 60, hopefully 55, but we'll see. I'm going to make some adjustments and see how far we get. All right, two things. One, I don't advise doing this without a proper wheel chock. And also, you do need a jack stand, but I'm not using either because I don't have either. So let's take a look. So yeah, what I'll be doing is taking this bolt out and dropping this down, and I should be able to loosen this collar right here and unscrew this assembly down some just to give me more extension. Once I loosen it up and I start spinning it, I'm going to count the spins. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Forgot to mention you also have to disconnect your sway bar. Alright, what I think I'm going to do is relieve the pressure in the bag. Oh, maybe I don't need to. Nine, 10, and yeah, I was going by how many half turns, but let's see how much. So yeah, that's probably about 10 millimeters. If I was gonna guess. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna go with it. Let's try it out. There we go. All right, I am going to tighten this collar. I mean, essentially that's ready to go, but I do want to test it out in case I do have to take it back off and adjust it a little bit more. Like I said, I adjusted it about 10 millimeters. I could have measured it. I should have measured it. I did 10 half turns or 5 full turns. Let's get the wheel back on and check where it's at. This is currently at 65 in the front and 62 in the rear, and actually I can go a little further down in the back. We have a winner. That's 64 in the front and 58 in the back, which to me seems like a pretty good ratio as far as spring rate's concerned. Here's the side that I adjusted. Measures in at 1 5/16. This one is before I changed the adjustment. So we're looking at 1 inch. I don't know how much this is actually going to affect, not so much drivability, but just, I guess, comfort, because whether I had it fully aired up or at lower PSI, it generally felt pretty comfortable riding. And in the times where I'd go over some really crappy roads, even if I was riding at high pressure, it still handled great. So I don't know. I think I wanted to try it just to see how it felt to have the potentially lower spring rate in the back. All right, so I'm all done with this side now. Let's take a quick look. I did clean and dress the bag itself. Looks a lot better. But yeah, got the collars adjusted. Those cleaned up. Everything's tightened up. I did not torque it. Again, you should torque it. Don't be like me. I'm gonna do the other side, but that's it for this video. I'll be driving it. Well, I have to, this is my daily driver, but I'll be testing it out and really seeing if I like how it is. If not, I'll do a follow-up video on changing it back, or if something really drastically changes in how it feels, maybe I'll do a follow-up video to that. But yeah, if anybody has any insight into spring rates when it comes to comparing like a coilover or lowering springs or standard springs, whatever, comparing that spring rate to air suspension and spring rate when changing pressures and heights and dampening, which I haven't even touched dampening yet, but I'll probably adjust that a little bit, maybe a little stiffer there. But yeah, just let me know down in the comments below, even if it's like you're not doing anything or you did it wrong or whatever. I'm still playing with this. I'd really like to get somebody else's insight in it about this, because like I said, I'm no expert. I'm just trying things out. And again, it might be good for other people that are concerned about their air suspension setup and trying to set it up to the best of their abilities to get the ride that they're looking for, because I'm not trying to just slam this to the ground. I want it to still be functional. I like going to the canyon roads. I want it to handle good. And for the most part, it does. Anyway, enough talking. I'm gonna get this back together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.